You ready to take this journey again?
Please no. Hello everyone, welcome back to season 2 of Uncultured.
Woo! Back again.
Yeah, we both had a nice break. I went to China.
I got a job.
Hey, disappointment seeping in. Just under the door, through the windows.
I'm not that jaded yet. Although I've been told I should, look out for it. Cameron, what are we watching this week?
We are watching Blade Runner.
Woo! Yeah, so Blade Runner was, I think we had initially planned to do it well before Blade Runner 2049 came out.
Yeah.
Is it 49? 2049?
You're lucky I know what this movie's called.
I like it. Like, what do you know about Blade Runner, the film?
Blade Runner. So, it's like a gun runner. They're smuggling knives across the border, right? Into America. And American cops are like, no, take your, weird tech knives back to Mexico.
I just put my head in my hand for, the entire length of that explanation.
This is a gag guess. I know
what
the actual answer is.
Okay, you know what the actual answer is. So, you do know a bit about it.
Kind of. Harrison Ford is a cop, and he's chasing things that are like humans, but they're not humans. And at the end, it's like, is Harrison Ford and not human?
Very good. I also haven't seen this film.
Okay.
It was a film that I always wanted to get around to watching, because I really like sci-fi films. But for some reason, this was elusive. I don't know why it didn't happen. It's like me talking about some girl or partner, the one that got away.
There are 27 cuts or something.
Apparently, There's a lot of them. I have a friend who, oh man, he shills hard for this film. He knows it very well.
Did he tell you the one cut? Was he like, let me go into my cupboard, behind the secret lever, dust it off, step past the laser traps and get you the one correct version?
No. He's not quite like that. I think he knows of them.
Okay.
But, he probably does. Maybe he just hasn't told me. I'm not in the fold yet.
Today we're watching the original cut, right? The theatrical release.
I think so, yeah. I do know that this is hella cult film, basically.
Which we've previously established means it made no money.
Okay, that's the thing. When I say hella cult, I don't necessarily mean it made no money. I think it did quite well at the time. Don't hold me to this because I haven't, researched the film in that regard. But I think it did, okay. It didn't bomb or anything and then come back with big resurgence or anything. It's just such a sci-fi classic. For example, if you looked up classic sci-fi films, this will probably be in there. There's a lot of very iconic things that films later on allegedly did all these... I feel like such a fake saying, oh, it did all these hat tips, just saying things about this film.
Well, hold on. You haven't seen it, so you're in my normal position.
That's true.
What do you know about this movie from other things? So,
okay.
Rain.
Yeah.
That's something, I know there's a bunch of rain towards the end. It's a big moment. I have no idea what the moment is, but
yep.
Rain.
Rain. I know there is a classic shenanigan nonsense line in there, something about stardust, moonbeams, gazing, Tannhauser Gate, something like that.
What?
It's a line that was I only know about it because it was used in Drillbit Taylor, the movie.
What is Drillbit Taylor?
It was Owen Wilson and some kids, and he's a bodyguard, and it's real dumb. But there's a lot of iconic bits in this film, from what I've been told. From various stills and things like that, I know that the world that's created is pretty fucking sick.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool stuff in there that I appreciate. I don't know if
that sweet CG money.
I'm not sure it is CG money.
Oh, sweet practical effects money. All $3 of it.
She's like, what'd you buy? I don't know. We bought some crackers from down at the bodega.
I always have this association that CG is the studios go, oh, I have $3 million to spend on computer stuff. And then practical effects is, man, I found $5 at the bottom of my car. Maybe we can turn this into something.
Just man, everyone's doing it for the love. We'd really appreciate it if you could just jump on board.
Yeah.
There's pizza. Yeah, no, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I think we'll see, and maybe we should guess. That could be an interesting thing to see.
CG or practical. Yeah. New segment.
I think that is a really good segment. I know Harrison Ford's in it. It was a Ridley Scott. Ripley? This is the alien thing fucking me up again.
Yes.
Ridley Scott directed this film. I think it was made in the 80s.
They shot movies in those years. It checks out.
I like this is an interesting perspective. The whole. We've done films that neither of us watched before. Another cool thing I know about this film is a really recognizable prop, which was Harrison Ford's pistol. It's been replicated by Adam Savage, a whole bunch of other Comic-Con cosplayer people, prop makers, things like that. It's just a really cool looking pistol.
I appreciate this. Hold on, but is that a high bar? Like people at Comic-Con were replicating it? People at
Well,
Comic-Con wear a lot of weird things.
They do. I think the point is that it captures people's imagination enough to warrant giving a fuck enough to build it. Like to build. I mean, some people have done really, really cool, accurate versions. Some people have done really cool, inaccurate versions that they were just like, this is my take on it, kind of thing. And then
I
some
got a
people...
Pringles can, and this here's like a toilet paper roll.
No.
I taped them together, and they look like a gun.
I got tased by a police officer carrying this on the subway in today. It's a legitimate weapon now.
He was like, "Sir, put down your gun." And I was like, "Once you pop, you can't stop."
Okay. Basically, all I know is that it's a really cool prop, and so there's a lot of me that's like, I really want to see what this world has in store. Enough shit talk. What time is it, Cameron?
It's time for listeners' least favorite segment.
Da-ba-da-da-da-da. Snack of the week.
Yeah.
It's our favorite segment. We love snacks.
No, the listeners like this segment.
Oh, do they?
They're like, oh, it's a bit unfocused, but you know, it's fun, I guess.
They're just like, if you guys could stop being dicks about food, that'd be sick.
This week, I've pulled upon my vast knowledge of this movie to bring together some of the most topical snacks known to man. I'm going to need you to get 3 bowls, 2 glasses, and close your eyes.
What the fuck, dude?
You're going to need to follow my instructions.
I need to get 3 bowls and
bowls?
2 glasses.
2 glasses.
Sort your shit out, man.
Josh's anger brought to you by the realization that the real world sucks. Close your eyes and prepare for your fate.
I hate the smug grin you have right now. All right.
Close your eyes.
My eyes are closed.
As repeat listeners know, Josh is terrible at guessing.
I'm not.
And
Oh.
I am also fantastic at coming up with snacks that have nothing to do with the content of the movie, but only puns.
Yep. I don't think we needed bowls for this, to be
We
honest.
needed bowls for this.
Why?
You will see.
Is one of them a fucking soup?
Josh does not yet understand the genius of my plan.
Well, obviously not. Okay, so not entirely sure what happened there, but I mean, midway through that snack of the week segment, the
audio stopped recording.
They just stopped recording.
So here's a quick summary. Josh hates comedy. Josh hates life. Josh hates happiness. He does not hate chocolate.
I don't appreciate a good pun. Fuck you.
So the snack of the week was 1 bowl of M&Ms, 1 bowl of Smarties, 1 bowl mixed. Because, why, Josh? You tell me. You tell me the genius of my own plan.
Okay, look, I feel like I was pretty on the fucking nose there when I said it was like one is not like the other, sort of. I was sort of close there with that first guess, but you said it's because they were hiding in plain sight?
Yeah, you couldn't tell which is which with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Which is the same with a lot of things, actually. There are a lot of things I can't tell apart with my eyes closed.
The drink was...
I'm gonna need you to explain the genius of this pun as well.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. Okay, so it's Bickford's blueberry juice drink, but he picked it because it was Harrison Bickford's.
I feel like you gave that so little respect. I was sitting there, I know nothing about this movie. Here I am, poor Cameron, in the Woolworths, walking around like, I don't know what this movie is. Do I have him drink a knife or what?
Do I have him drink a knife? You fucking psycho.
So I come up with the best pun I've got. Harrison Bickford.
I feel like you put too much theatrics in it, but at the same time, appreciated. Society is conditioned everyone to hate puns in a really good way. Some people like legitimately are just like, shut up, I hate you. But like my shut up, I hate you is all like based on the haha puns. Like tell them to shut up. But it's so true. Come on, deny me that, dude.
Alright, that is fair.
Without further ado, we're going to go watch Blade Runner. Cameron, are you pumped?
I am really excited to see this movie. It should be good. I hope.
Same. I'm pretty fucking stoked to finally watch it. I can join the ranks of other film geeks.
People with taste.
Well, I don't know. Film geeks are like, oh man, this film, which is like ostensibly blue-balled by the rest of the world. They're like, yeah, but there's just something about it. Don't trust film nerds, dude. Don't trust film nerds. Whether we like sometimes cross into... Anyway, the point is we're going to watch Blade Runner. It's going to be sick.
Let's go.
We're back. Cameron.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Kind of like Blade Walker, honestly. Long movie. Took forever to get anywhere.
I mean, yeah, it was a little bit long. The pacing was slow, but I feel like that was kind of expected. I mean, like, I knew that it wasn't an action sci-fi thing. It was like a film noir. It's literally paced like a noir, like a detective film. Okay, imagine like, okay, everything in this film was black and white. A lot of rain, a lot of shadows, a lot of Dutch tilts in the camera angle. That's when the camera tilts to one side, just in case you didn't know, Cameron. And
just casually throw that out there, like,
just,
it's just like the Norwegian Heimlich. Just, that's like this in case you uneducated swine didn't understand.
Well, look, if I said Dutch tilt, you're like, what does that mean? Okay, I apologize. But basically, yeah, like imagine it's that kind of thing. He's wearing the grey trench coat and then fedora tipped over his eyeline a lot of the time. There's a lot of these really moody kind of shots. But then all of a sudden, make it colour, make it really gritty. There's lots of rain, there's lots of smoke, there's lots of neon. There's a lot of these, hustling, bustling kind of like city shots and things like that, where that character's pacing their way through the thing. And you kind of get Blade Runner. It's a detective thing, I guess.
You could make this movie 20 minutes shorter by cutting the opening credits. Like, I'm not sure whoever thought that was a good idea. You're sitting there like, I don't know that guy and I don't care. I don't know that guy and I don't care. Please show me. The only opening credits I'll actively sit through the James Bond ones because they're interesting. There's something cool to look at. The music's good. I don't want to see like costume design by Lawrence Gumshoe. Who's Lawrence Gumshoe? I don't know.
Was Lawrence Gumshoe the actual?
No, that is a fake name.
Oh, damn it. I was like, that's pretty good. No. Okay. I understand about you going like, well, I don't want to see the credits and stuff, but I kind of, you don't see that anymore. Good. You see really quick, snappy credits.
Good.
But some of that stuff, I actually really appreciate. Like, there are some really big names attached to things, and fuck whether they're big names or not, those people made the world you're about to see. And there's something a little bit special in that, and I understand that, like, there have been times where I watch a film and I'm just like, these credits kill me. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit. But what I'm saying is that I totally understand the whole wanting to just like get on with it, but also as someone who's sort of been a little bit involved in film stuff, I really appreciate getting to see some of those names, because otherwise they just kind of like films just appear for you to consume and you're like, who did that? Doesn't matter, don't know. Whereas it's kind of nice if you see like a bunch of films that you like, similar names being attached to it, and you go like, that person did that other film that I really liked, maybe I'll check their shit out. And
here's the thing though, like I feel like it's hubris. Either show me something and have the credits alongside, or show me at the end after you've earned the right for me to care who you are. If you start off with 5 minutes of, I'm great, I did this, I don't care, I haven't seen your costume design, I don't know if I like it yet, get off screen.
But you're about to see it. That's the thing, I guess. But I did notice that, yeah, like those credits, they were a little bit long. They lingered. They lingered. The film itself I thought was pretty good, but I definitely see that there were some pacing things in there, but at the same time, I just kind of put up with it. I was like, this felt a bit meandery at times where there wasn't necessarily a clear goal being achieved.
Yeah, let's just do a really quick Cliff Notes version of this movie.
Yeah, okay.
We open with a quick little text box which tells us there are these great things. They're called replicants. They're like humans, but they do slave labor for free.
And then, of course, something went wrong. They got too violent. They became outlawed, and they get hunted by people known as Blade Runners.
Yeah, and so we find the next Blade Runner, Deckard, who's living life. He's not bound by the laws anymore. He's not the good cop or the bad cop. He's the retired cop eating noodles.
Hold on, he's very much bound by the law.
No. Hold on. No.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Right? You leave the force and you get to shoot whoever you want.
Yeah, you keep the license to kill. Oh wait, that's James Bond. What are we talking about? Yeah, no, he loves to eat noodles and read the newspaper in the rain. I mean, 2019 is when this movie is set in LA.
Far-flung future.
Super close.
Hold on. How disappointed are you if you lived through the 80s to be here now and you go, I don't even have a flying car? What?
Yeah, I don't have a flying car. I'm not hunting replicants. I can't read a newspaper in the rain and have it not disintegrate. What is going on in the world?
Have we failed the people of the 80s?
Possibly, dude. Okay, getting on with the little recap.
His old cop boss says, look...
What was his name? Dylan?
You're going to have to stop asking me names.
Okay. More or less gets taken back to the station. This Dylan guy says, we've got a bunch of replicants on the loose. They've killed 23 people. You need to hunt them down again. He's like, I'm retired.
And the chief says, you're either a cop or you're unimportant.
Basically, what was it? The little people?
Yeah, you're either a cop or you're a little person.
Yeah, and so I guess he just was like, fuck it, take it back up again, grabs his gun, and he's out on the hunt.
We see a recap from an interview of one of the replicants.
Oh yeah,
And they're asking him confusing questions to try and get an emotional response. At which case, he shoots a man, dead.
So he shoots this guy, and basically that's the first replicant we see. Dylan kind of filled him in and said, "There's a Roy, the leader. There's Pris. There's Zora.
There's a gang of replicants. They have matching hats. They got clubs. They meet on Thursday nights." He finds one that doesn't know they're a replicant. They cry, they get all personal. He's not ready to kill her. He feels kind of weird about it. He finds a couple other ones that know they're replicants.
They're the ones that are on the lam.
Yeah, these guys are on the run, committing crimes, being generally not great. He's tracking these replicants down. He's going in. He's shooting them. Generally, actually, we'll cover this later, but he's not great at hunting replicants.
No.
For a crack replicant hunter.
He finds one in a strip club kind of thing / dance club.
Follows her in a weird low-speed chase.
Shoots her in the back. One of them finds him, and then there's this weirdly kind of shit fight. And then the girl who was the replicant from before, who didn't know she was a replicant, shoots that guy in the back of the head. So that's 2 down.
Cut to these other 2 replicants who are out here trying to find a way around a natural defense that's built in. They're built to be shut down after 4 years. And so these replicants are going around saying, how do I fix myself? You don't know? Who does? Cool. And eventually they end up at the apartment of a man, Sebastian.
So Sebastian says, look, I work for the guy who can help you, maybe, but like I can't help you. And they basically kind of manipulate him a little bit of duress. And get him to take him to Mr. Tyrell. Not to be confused with any Game of Thrones shenanigans. This guy is the person who designed and made the original replicants.
The genius who runs the company.
Well, that's it. And he, classic bullshit, plays chess through the phone. I don't know. Anyway, so these 2 replicants manipulate Sebastian into taking them to Tyrell, which they sort of do get around to. He says, look, I can't do anything or you'll die anyway. Like, if I manipulate your code, you'll get a virus and you'll die no matter which way we slice it. And so the main guy, the leader, just goes, fuck it, kisses him, like, goodbye, father, and then kills him. Like, fingers through the eyes, dead.
Blood everywhere.
It's a messy experience. Meanwhile, our shit Blade Runner replicant hunter is off to find Sebastian. Sebastian isn't there, but one of the other replicants is, and she's, hanging around looking real creepy. And what follows is a really interesting, strange fight. But eventually, this other replicant dies.
The leader shows up. He is not happy at all. He goes kind of crazy. He removes most of his clothes. He's running around. He's smashing his head through walls.
He's got the crazy eyes.
Yeah, he's punching through walls, grabbing people's hands, snapping their fingers, threatening them with guns, just being all kinds of weird, goofy, menacing, pulling dubs out of nowhere.
He's got the fucking bug-out eyes, man.
Yeah.
100%.
And they go up to the roof. It's raining. Deckard tries to jump to a different roof. He almost falls off. The replicant follows him. We watch as Deckard almost falls, at which point the replicant saves him.
He pulls him up onto the roof. He muses about life and how none of us really know when it's coming and living in fear, and that's how he lives. And then, the 4 years is up, I guess, and the leader of the replicant crew dies.
And Harrison Ford goes off with the crying lady replicant who didn't know she was a replicant.
The one who was made differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does not have a 4-year time limit. No. She'll die randomly like everyone else.
She's at the whimsy of fate. And it ends with, them driving off, and we've got some voiceover from Deckard saying, we don't know how long we've got. We just got to cherish life. And there's some nice mountain shots, which is interesting compared to the entire rest of the film.
Which is kind of dark back alleys. Yeah.
Yeah. Gritty cityscapes.
So that's the story in a really, really condensed version.
Skimming on the deets, but whatever.
Man, he has got to be a replicant, because for the first half of the movie, I was like, this is deadpan as hell. He sounded so bored in every voiceover. He's like, I used to be a cop, and then I found...
It wasn't that monotone.
No, it was really bad. I was sitting there like... I was trying to figure out whether Harrison Ford was a bad actor or not.
Well, this is the... I think it's early-ish Harrison Ford.
Because I remember enjoying him in a lot of other things, but he's never had a serious role that I've seen. So I was trying to figure out if he just can't do serious roles.
Oh, he's been in some serious stuff before.
Like what?
Air Force One? No, I don't know. Look, I think it was never really mentioned in the film about the possibility of Harrison Ford being a replica. Is that just a fan theory that someone's told you?
I mean, It looks like, honestly, they hinted towards it when you were looking for it, when you were looking through, right? Because the girl who was built differently, who didn't know she was a replicant, she said, "Have you ever sat for the replicant test?"
Yeah.
And they kind of skipped over it, and it's like, oh.
I mean, but that also opens it up to, like, everyone potentially being modified. I think this is one of those things that it really asks you to analyze yourself in general, like, in a very sort of meta kind of way.
I don't have enough vodka to analyze myself. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to skip that for tonight.
Yeah. What I'm saying is don't do it right now. But I think that was kind of a lot of that stuff that they were alluding to. It wasn't, it was just using the replicants as a conversation opener for yourself. It's like, you don't know how long you've got. Like, these guys live in fear of, they don't know when they were made, so they don't know when their 4 years is up, and they spend their time basically fixated on that and trying to, that's the whole reason for it's basically the plot. The whole reason these replicants are escaped and mad and angry is they want to find out when they were made, so when they're going to die, so they know how much time they have to erase their fail-safe 4-year limit. So it kind of like flops on its own. They spend so much time fixated on that and hating things that they're not actually living their lives. They're not spending the time that they've got doing things they want to do. They're just, they're doing things they have to do. It's like pure like impulse response.
Let me ask you, without that scene at the end where he's sitting there and he says, I've seen things you couldn't understand and now it's all going to disappear like tears in the rain, time to die.
Yeah.
Without that scene, this movie's garbage. No one's watching it, right?
Oh man, I have no idea. I think it's all very art piecey, which is why I say it's a noir film. It's not like a, super simple action film. This bad guy's got a gun, I gotta shoot him. And then that other guy's got a gun too. And then by the time the end of the film's done, all the bad guys have been shot. I think that's why I'm saying is that's why it's slow. That's why there's a lot of gratuitous shots in there of the environment and basically the way it was done, So that way it was more of an art piece thing rather than just kind of like slapping you in the face with action all the time.
Yeah, I do feel like that scene really, really works. It feels disconnected to the rest of the movie. A
little bit.
Because the rest of the movie is so ham-fisted and this seems really subtle. It seems like he wrote this one scene and he's like, I need a script to just justify this scene happening.
Yeah. I think that line, or that sentence, was actually ad-libbed.
Really?
I believe so. I remember reading something about it. They basically just said, say something introspective. Or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I vaguely remember reading something about that line being ad-libbed.
Who greenlit this movie without that line?
Okay, your bitterness aside.
I'm not actually bitter. I just it confuses me.
Yeah, I think it was a few things wrapped up in one, like it had this, this kind of sadness about the whole thing.
Okay. Every
Every single time someone makes let's throw caution to the wind and say dystopian kind of future, there's this sort of air of sadness, is this how people fucking do things now? There's a little bit of that in there where, we've given this thing emotions eventually. It is kind of said with the whole replicant thing that eventually they'll get emotions of their own and their own responses to things. How long does that take? And then it's the whole AI. It's a consistent kind of question that gets posed, especially now when people talk about making AIs and things like that. At what point do we have to consider this thing a bit more sentient than we'd like and then go, we gotta kill it before it gets too unfortunate? It's just cruel now. You've understood that you're kind of fucked and you want to do something about that, and you did that by being really angry and killing some people. That's not okay, so we're going to hunt you down and kill you. Apply that then to humans. You're just you're pretty fucked in your plight of life, and we're going to kill you now.
Yeah, it feels like a genocide allegory to me.
Yeah, there was a little bit in there, and I kept bringing this up to you about the leader of the replicant. He bears a very Aryan resemblance.
Yes. So
he has
white hair, blue eyes.
Yeah, really kind of bulky dude. He's muscular, and he is meant to be the best replicant.
This movie's got the same sort of thing that Fifth Element had for me, which is a love story that makes no sense. There was a really uncomfortable scene about halfway through.
Oh, so uncomfortable.
The lady replicant that didn't know she was a replicant, Rachel. There's a scene where Deckard leans over to kiss Rachel, and she's not really having it. She goes to leave. He kind of locks the door, pushes her against the wall.
He's very aggressive with that. He swiftly walks to the door, and this is right after he's been shit-faced, right?
Yeah, he's been drinking.
Yeah, he's been drinking. He had a little nap and woke up. And then, you know, this unfortunate non-kiss encounter happens. Storming over to the door and just, like, blocks it and then, like, smashes it shut with his fist.
Yeah, he's leaning over her and he's like...
Yeah, say you want to kiss me.
And she's like, And he's like, say it.
Yeah.
And she does. And then he's like, tell me you want me. And she's like, I want you. And it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's effectively... I mean, that's some assault business right there, a little bit. But then also she kisses him back a bit, and I feel like that was... Hold on. This is a thing of, you know, older films. It was that thing where, oh, you know, it's okay if, like, you just push so much that they go with it. That's fine. I feel like that's such an old film thing. Like, I was saying to you when this film came out, I was like, things that were acceptable in films back then, like, there is no way you could do that unless it was, like, ostensibly marked as like, this is a bad scene, you know what I mean? Like, this is the villain doing this to someone, you know, that's when it's like okay to be in the film.
Is Deckard a villain? I could see Deckard being a villain.
I feel like he totally could be, and maybe that's a thing. Maybe there's something that's going to happen in the new Blade Runner that we'll find out, you know, more information. That'd be interesting.
Because I watched a lot of this movie and just saw him hunt down people because
just put holes in their back from afar.
Well, he was chasing down these replicants not because he had to, but because his boss told him he'd be a crap person if he didn't go hunt down replicants, right?
Yeah.
And so he's following around these people, he's hunting them down. He's not really good at it, but he's killing them out of some sense of, I want to prove I'm great.
Yeah, I mean...
And then forcing himself on this other replicant, and...
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, hey.
I don't find many redeeming qualities in this character.
I mean, yeah, aside from this, like, the standard, well, he's the hero, like, he's the protagonist. He's got to be positive, right? But I suppose that's the thing, like, when you first see him, he is immediately painted as this world-weary kind of, you know, dude. But then also there's, I mean... Like, there's goofiness in there. Like, there's this one part where Deckard goes to this strip club thing. He's got a lead on one of the replicants, and he, would you say, infiltrates the club, infiltrates the dressing room with this, like, really kind of goofy voice, where he's like, hey, like, my name's Roy, and I'm from the Stop Abuse of, like, Performers, and he's just, like, real goofy. So, like, there's some silliness there, but, I mean, that also shows that he's kind of willing to be manipulative.
I feel like the end of the movie's cheap to me.
It is a little bit. Just like, and cut to like rolling mountains. Done.
The thing is for me, a lot of the inevitability of death, right?
Sure.
That's the big point of the rain scene where the replicant who is the big bad sort of just said, I wanted you to know what it felt like to live in fear. This is my life. Time to die. All that. That was an impactful moment. I enjoyed that. And then immediately they cut to Harrison Ford in a car being like, oh yeah, the guy told me the one I love is going to be around forever. It's cool. It's all good. It's all G. No one ever dies. It's cool.
Yeah.
Why set up these stakes where every replicant is scared for their life, except for the one who's a love interest because happy ending?
You know what would be really interesting if it was basically the bit they cut out in one of the 50 different cuts we see.
Okay.
Is they're rolling down this mountain pass and all of a sudden the car like veers off, you know, shaking left and right. Oh my god, what's happening? And it's because what's-her-face has died.
I would respect that ending.
Yeah. And he's just like, you know, I'm grabbing Cameron here, by the way, listeners. Just like cradling in the arms. And
God.
Like, Rachel! But you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, why? Like, you know, that would be kind of an interesting thing. I mean, a bit odd, but it would be interesting.
I would respect that a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, it does kind of go like, oh, sad. It's like, but it's all okay. So I get what you mean.
I may have called this movie garbage earlier. That was mostly for the show. It's not actually it's not a garbage movie.
Yeah,
it feels weird pacing issues to me.
Yeah.
Again, I can only say good things about the rain scene. That was really well put together.
Yeah.
Even if a lot of the chase running up to it was really goofy slapstick, you know.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was slapstick, but it definitely wasn't as serious as it could have been.
This man shoved his head through a tiled wall and went, "I'm coming for you." That's pretty slapstick.
That's true. I suppose I do kind of glaze over those ones. What I'm saying is it wasn't like slapstick the entire way through, and so in my mind I was like, oh yeah, this guy's fucking with him, you know, in like a cheesy way.
Sure.
And I think that's why I kind of like, you know, want to override that and go like, this was fine. Because the whole thing is that these replicants, you know, were significantly stronger and faster, so that it was like an inevitable, I'm going to catch you and I'm going to kill you. Like with my bare hands. I'm not going to shoot you. I'm just going to like rip your face off.
I don't know who I relate to more. I'm trying to figure out whether I relate to Deckard more or to the evil replicant. Because he's not really evil. Like, he doesn't...
Well, he's just trying to, like, live.
He kills a guy. Let's not skip over
Sure.
that. He does put his fingers through a guy's eyeballs.
He did. However, they did say they had killed 23 people, like, prior to this film.
You make a very fair point. Do you feel you relate to anyone in this movie?
Oh, look, not so much. Possibly Deckard in the way that he is kind of put upon. Someone's like, oh, look, you got to do this thing you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, Deckard's... It's like they just kind of slapped the detective shtick on him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, look, you got to be tired of the world. You call ladies dames. Occasionally probably hit someone. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just this stuff in here where it wasn't quite like it was him. And, you know, you could put that down to, like, this being early on in Harrison Ford's career, or maybe that's just how they wanted to portray it, and that, like, things were a little fucking goofy. The detective boss guy, Dylan, or whatever, again, that dude looked cheesy as fuck. Like, I did not buy him as the captain. I was like, this guy could be played by John C. Reilly farting every now and then, and it would have had the same effect. Like, it just wasn't... There were some characters where it was like, they didn't necessarily do their due diligence to find someone who could play those roles really convincing. And I'm not sure why that was or whatever, but it did take some elements out for me. So, I don't know. There's bits and pieces I can, you know, wrap around and say, oh, I kind of identify with that, but the end point, I guess, is not really any of them. I, you know, see where you're coming from in terms of, like, a little column A, a little column B. You know, a little bit of the replicants just being like, I just want to live. I mean, I haven't read the book this is based on. I think it's, what is it? Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep?
Oh, it's based on a book?
Yeah. By Philip K. Dick. Do androids dream of electric sheep? It's like, does X dream of electric sheep? I mean, fuck, based on that title, the whole thing is just, to me, screams like very introspective. Oh, we want to make you think a little bit. We want to make you talk about this film.
People clearly are talking about this movie. If there are more than 5 alternate cuts, you gotta wonder what it is they're changing between them, right?
True, very true. Did a little bit of research when the film was over, and more or less no CGI.
Really?
Yeah.
So for our CGI versus practical effects...
Yeah, like we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Here's the big question for me.
Yeah.
Do you like this movie? Do you love this movie?
No, I don't love it. There are a lot of things in it that I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. One thing I was remarking as I was watching it was that the sets and stuff, they weren't like the most polished. Like, for example, guy getting shot in the back and then the wall disappears and this jagged edge and stuff. Like, you know, there were a lot of non-polished edges to the sets and design of this film and whatnot, but there was a lot of really filled out stuff. You know, where a lot of films will cover this detail in the background of a room. They'll either put it out of focus with their camera technique or lens choice, or they put in a blank wall, or there's a light, or there'll be like a man at a console just kind of sitting there. Really grey. Star Wars, I'm looking at you. Among other things. In this universe, there was so much shit everywhere. When you look in the car that Deckard sits in, or the other detectives' cars, or just the shops, all that kind of stuff, it was all things. They were all things that filled the universe, and I really appreciate that. Maybe I wouldn't necessarily call it attention to detail. There was certainly a lot of detail, but, you know, no one went with boring, just, oh yeah, we'll put a stainless steel surface here, and stick a light in the middle of it, and I don't know what the fuck it is, but that's a thing, you know, like, whereas there was a dude's lab or whatever, and there was shit everywhere. There were scopes, there were, you know, these little enclosures filled with freezing eyeballs, like, there was so much for you to take in, and I really like that sort of visual, I will say clutter, just stuff for you to soak up and be like, oh fuck, there's a lot going on here. Like, it really puts you in the world of, like, I've seen like an electronics shop that's like filled with stuff that's like that.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
Similarly, the opening of the film, you know, that really long, you know, sort of shot of the skyline and things like that, it really makes you feel as if you're in a 3D world. And I really appreciate that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was weird to me. A lot of the outside shots were really imaginative and new worldy, but some of the inside shots just kind of looked like 80s rooms.
Yeah,
like the apartments were just sort of, oh, this is an apartment we had lying around. Here's some future stuff scattered around it. Very, very 80s colors and design and shower curtains and all that. It's always interesting to me thinking about being in the 80s and designing this is the future, right? Because
I mean, obviously we weren't around. We're both 90s children.
Yes. So a lot of, I guess, what you had to imagine when you're sitting there looking at how does technology advance, a lot of that clearly you're guessing and you're wrong.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed the most in Blade Runner that other media has taken, Blade Runner is responsible for one of my least favorite NCIS tropes, which is the zoom, enhance. They took this one photo.
Oh, that was insane.
They blew it up for like 5 minutes. They were sitting there going, and the only way they could come up with for him to interact with it is say, 45 to the left, zoom, 45 to the right.
No, take it in. It was
zoom.
It was like he could keep saying zoom, but it also understood like, yeah, take it in a little bit. Like, or...
At what point is it easier for this man just to buy a keyboard and go,
just to control plus.
And then after he spends forever getting all this information out of the technology, he prints it out onto basically a Polaroid, right?
Yeah.
It shows this crappy resolution Polaroid around the city. It's weird to me that you can have both flying cars and Polaroid as cutting edge technology in the same movie. It's a weird mesh of these are what I'm guarantee is going to be around in 2019 when everyone's, flying and we've got robots and everything.
Yeah. No, it's certainly interesting. Mind you, I think with this film particularly, it wasn't meant to be super ritzy. Like, it wasn't meant, it's not stainless steel sci-fi.
Okay.
It's not laser beam sci-fi. It's dark, gritty city sci-fi. And like you said, the rooms and stuff, like super 80s rooms. Some films like Dread. Did you ever see that? The new Dread film?
No.
The way they did that world was that it was like a city built on top of a city built on top of a city, and flats, and the flats were a city unto themselves, and they housed like 50,000 people. Like, that's bananas to think. Like, those are mega structures and stuff like that. And so, I like you said, it's really interesting to sort of put yourself in that mind space.
In the spirit of not criticizing something I wouldn't do myself. These people they've projected 30 years into the future, give or take, and they've said this is what technology is. If we're making a movie today and we're saying 30 years from now technology, what are we putting in there?
Ah, fuck.
I want us to be on record now so that 30 years later people can look back and laugh at us
and be like, dumbass,
today.
dumbass.
He didn't even know teleporting was going to be a thing.
I would say that was my first thing I was going to say. Teleporting would be dope.
Let's start early, right? Flying cars. If we don't have flying cars by 30 years from now, I'm riding, okay?
Yeah, no, okay, so I feel like, teleportation would be pretty dope in some regard. Like, I feel like it would be a really dumbed down kind of thing, and that it wouldn't be grand or amazing. It'd just be like, that's how you got to work. You punch in your teleportation thing, and they're like, cool, you have access to that teleporter.
Do you have teleportation stations?
Yeah, I reckon.
How much would it suck queuing up for one of those?
Oh.
It'd be quicker to almost walk if you're going somewhere busy, right?
Potentially, yeah. Surely you'd have a couple, and let's say it takes seconds, maybe?
Oh, but people are slow, right? Once they're teleported there, they got to walk off the pad, and the next guy's got to teleport in. Well, maybe, what if the guy doesn't walk off the pad by the time the next guy teleports in?
Well, maybe it's the kind of system that Futurama had envisaged, and it just, like, pops you down a tube. So that everyone is actually just in transit in the tube. What happens if someone gets stuck in there? We're fucked. No teleportation. It's a bad idea.
Okay, so...
palm it off. It's no dice,
teleportation, flying cars. What have we got?
I feel like at the very minimum, electric/hydrogen kind of...
Okay.
Basically, alternative fuel source mobility things will be a thing.
Okay. I'm calling genetic engineering. I'm calling people can edit genes. They can create their own weird animals.
Like on the whim?
Kind of like a word processor. I'm calling there are people in science classes who are like, oh, look at this weird variation of a giraffe I made. And they go, look, put that away.
put that away. Never speak of it again.
Stop designing weird, like, chimera animals.
Is it like a zoo that you go to that people are like, oh, cool, you made it, but we also can't let it live. So, bang!
Yeah, hold on. If you can genetically engineer things, are you then responsible for that for the rest of its life?
I think it's the kind of thing where they're like, cool, like, have a look at it on a viewing platform. Like, maybe play with it a little bit, and then it goes away into another tunnel and it just gets minced.
Oh, that is the worst.
Well, like, I mean, that's... Otherwise, you're putting a lot of power in, like, fuckwits' hands. That's not to say we're not fuckwits. It's just, like, you can't do that on a whim.
Isn't that the way of technology?
So it's like, we've gone too far. No, I teleported my chimera into Grand Central Station, which was defunct now because we don't do trains. We just teleport.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Do you need flying cars if you can teleport?
Exactly. Probably not.
How fat are you if you never walk anywhere?
Ooh. Maybe it's a thing you can just change. You just alter that out. That's a grim future I don't want to be a part of.
Alright, so let's hope we're just as bad as predicting the future as these guys are with their magical
'cause
Polaroids.
it'll be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like it's the kind of thing where, okay, so for me, films that, like, get the future stuff right is that it is basically the same, but there are a few things that are different. They're major, but they're not like, oh yeah, I'm playing the holodeck and I'm putting a thing on my face and teleporting into the internet physically. So, you know, like that kind of stuff. Sure, that's big stuff, you know, but that's like the kind of dark, like, oh yeah, no one interacts with people anymore kind of thing. I have a feeling things will be, you know, similar-ish, but, you know, there will be like big changes in that it's like, oh yeah, so I jump on this weird new form of public transport and it gets me to work really quickly. Like, you know, obviously there are those dark things where it's like, yeah, Jimmy plugged into his holodeck and, well, he got a virus. You know, and now he just kind of sits there and is a bit crazy. Okay, one of the replicants was a pleasure model that was military, like, live-in, girlfriendy type. I don't know what the exact deal was, but when she is at Sebastian's place, she puts this really bizarre makeup on. I say really bizarre in that it didn't really make clear sense as to why she had done it. But it was, like, grey/clown makeup with, like, black eye strip across her face.
Yeah. You can see when she's fighting Deckard that it's there to blend in with the rest of the creepy dolls that Sebastian has, right?
So Sebastian had, like, genetically engineered these other kind of... They basically just look like dolls. Also, the fight scene between her and Deckard, hilarious. Because there's just... I mean, there's all sorts of, like, effects and stuff they throw in to, like, make it seem right. And sure, while they're doing a fight scene, maybe they don't get good sound. You know, it's like... Them being like, all right, yeah, look, I gotta tap out now because she's crushing my windpipe with her thighs. And so they don't do audio and they add that in later. And one of them was just like a scream of her, like, while she's flipping and she's just like, ah! Super creepy. And I was saying it was kind of like, it was like a boss battle in a game. Yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable film though.
This is the original Blade Runner theatrical cut. How many dead replicants out of 5?
Ooh, 3. Wait, no, 4.
4 dead replicants out of 5?
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Is this an actual rating though?
No, 3. Probably 3.
3
I
dead
give it
replicants.
3. No, 4. No, 3 dead replicants.
Okay. I'm giving it a 2.5 dead replicants out of 5.
2.5 dead replicants.
I appreciate the movie. A little clunky, a little long. I'm sure one of the other cuts will fix that and someone will point me towards. They go, no, look, that's the pleb cut. You know, if you want the best Blade Runner experience, go to the final cut or the director's cut or I had a lot of time, so I threw this together in my basement cut.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think there were a lot of pros and cons to this film. Overall, it was a film that didn't necessarily grab me by, like, the seat of my pants.
Okay.
But there was a lot of cool shit in there that, after thinking about it and looking at it, being like, yeah, like, I appreciated that kind of thing.
Does this fall into classic to you? Or is this, it was okay?
I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration before you consider a film a classic. This film I definitely see it as being a film that could be made a classic or, you know, could be considered a classic.
Okay, but to you, is this a classic to you?
Well, no, this is the first time I watched it, I guess. And that storyline-wise, I was like, meh. But in terms of world creation and things like that, I would say it's a classic.
Okay.
I mean, but that seems somewhat facetious saying that after just having seen this once.
Fair enough.
Like a little bit, just like, it doesn't feel genuine. Oh yeah, on the whole, Blade Runner pretty solid. Snack of the week, went pretty good. I didn't have much more of the blueberry Harrison Bickford. But
no one can turn down chocolate.
Yeah, M&M's / Smarty combo was dope.
That's it. Good to have you with us on the first episode of Season 2 of Uncultured.
We're back, bitches.
Yeah. You can find us at facebook.com/unculturedpodcast or send us an email at unculturedpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, send us your thoughts. If you've got a movie that, you know, you think we should check out, send us a message or an email and we'll get back to you.
Leave us a review on iTunes. Go subscribe.
Hit us up. Thanks for joining us for the first episode of Season 2. I'm Josh.
I'm Cameron.
See you next time.
Bye.